Ukraine is ready for peace talks, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy stated at the Munich Security Conference. However, Kyiv will not accept agreements made without Ukraine's participation, Zelenskyy emphasized.
No decisions about Ukraine without Ukraine, no decisions about Europe without Europe. If we're left out of negotiations about our own future, then we all lose. This war cannot be decided by just a few leaders, not by Trump and Putin, not by me and Putin, not by anyone here in Munich sitting down with Putin alone. We must apply pressure together to make real peace. Putin cannot offer real security guarantees, not just because he is a liar, but because Russia, in its current state, needs war to hold power together, and the world must be protected from that. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President of Ukraine.
On the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference, Zelenskyy held talks with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. The meeting was also attended by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Kate Kellogg.
We had a number of fruitful conversations, a number of things for us to follow up and work on. And fundamentally, the goal is, as President Trump outlined it, we want the war to come to a close. We want the killing to stop, but we want to achieve a durable, lasting peace, not the kind of peace that's going to have Eastern Europe in conflict just a couple years down the road.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called on Washington for joint and coordinated action.
Ukraine wants peace more than anyone else, one that is just and lasting so that the horrors of the last 3 years are not revisited again. On the other hand, President Putin says he is willing to meet, but on what terms? It is up to him to demonstrate that his interest is not to prolong this war. It is up to him to show that he has given up his ambition to destroy Ukraine. And let me be very clear, a failed Ukraine would weaken Europe, but it would also weaken the United States. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission.
U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Kate Kellogg, made a public commitment to engage all parties within 180 days to end Russia's war against Ukraine. He assured that Ukraine would be at the negotiating table, but the participation of EU representatives is not expected.
If you think you can kill your way out of this war, you can't. Okay, it's not just killing alone. It's quite. You're going to have to have a comprehensive plan. A plan that has worked for the Allies, working together, but it's going to be a comprehensive plan.
The foundation of this strategy could be Ukraine's victory plan, President Zelenskyy stated in an interview with ITV News.
We need an agreement, security guarantees so strong that regardless of whether Putin or someone else comes after him, whether they want to kill Ukrainians, take our land, and destroy our country or not, they simply won't be able to. Why? Because there will be security guarantees in place, ensuring that if they go to war, they will receive such a response that they will lose what they have. This is what must happen, and it is absolutely realistic. I am certain of it.
President Zelenskyy presented the victory plan in 2024. It consists of 5 points and 3 classified annexes. The first and most critical point is that Ukraine's invitation to join NATO. The second focuses on strengthening the country's defense. The third aims at deterring the aggressor state. The fourth emphasizes developing Ukraine's economic potential. The final point outlines the post-war period, stating that Ukraine's military experience can be used to strengthen NATO's defense capabilities and ensure European security. If Ukraine's priorities are ignored, if Kyiv does not agree to the terms set by the US and Russia, Europe will continue to support Ukraine, assured EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Kaja Kallas.
It is clear that any deal behind our backs will not work. Any agreement will need also Ukraine and Europe being part of it, and this is clear that appeasement also always fails. So Ukraine will continue to resist, and Europe will continue to back Ukraine. Europe will back the principles, Europe will back Ukraine. Yes, with 20% less if US decides to withdraw, but still, I mean, Ukraine will defend the principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the principles that also Europe stands for, and we are there together.
Following the Munich Security Conference, an emergency summit of European leaders was held in Paris on February 17th. At the initiative of French President, the main topics were continental security and support for Ukraine. 2 days later, on February 19th, European leaders met again in an expanded format. 20 European countries and Canada declared their continued support for Ukraine. France and its partners have a clear and united position. They want a strong and lasting peace in Ukraine. We want a strong and reliable peace in Ukraine, Emmanuel Macron noted. He emphasized that Ukraine must be involved in the negotiation process and that its rights must be respected.
We support Ukraine and will fulfill all our commitments to ensure peace and security in Europe. This is a fundamental interest of France, and I am its guarantor. Emmanuel Macron, President of France, on social network X.
The EU has already mobilized 48.5 billion euros in military aid to Kyiv and continues to strengthen Ukraine's defense capabilities, stated European Parliament President Roberta Metsola. She noted that Brussels is ready to expand security guarantees for Ukraine. One option being considered is a peacekeeping mission involving troops from allied countries.
And I've been clear today, Britain will take a leading responsibility, as we always have. Because Ukraine must have a secure future, Europe must have a secure future, Britain must have a secure future, and democratic values must prevail.
Washington has expressed support for the idea of European peacekeepers in Ukraine.
If they, Europe, want to do that, that's great. I'm all for it. If they want to do that, I think that'd be fine. France has mentioned it, others have mentioned it, the UK has mentioned it. If we reach a peace agreement, I don't think we'll need to station troops there, because we're very far away. But having troops there would be fine. I wouldn't mind at all. Donald Trump, U.S. President.
For Kyiv, it is crucial that U.S. forces also take part in a peacekeeping mission. According to President Zelenskyy, this does not necessarily mean ground troops. Naval forces and other branches of the military could be involved. Reported by Serhiy Kulias, Kristina Dombrovska, UATV News.
A peacekeeping mission in Ukraine is a key element of the British Prime Minister's plan. After concluding a peace agreement with Russia, European states pledged to send their troops to Ukraine to ensure the implementation of the agreements, and the US should be ready to attack if the Russian Federation breaks the agreement, the Telegraph writes. According to the publication sources, Keir Starmer plans to appeal to President Trump with a proposal to keep American fighter jets and missiles in Europe on alert to strike an aggressor if necessary.
The backstop could include U.S. fighter jets stationed in Romania and Poland, ready to respond to any future Russian aggression. A much larger multinational land force could also be based on NATO's eastern borders to move in if necessary to protect European troops inside Ukraine. From the Telegraph publication,
the UK's plan was backed by France. It was discussed by European leaders at a meeting in Paris. However, Washington has not yet announced its intentions to take part in the peacekeeping mission. On the contrary, Donald Trump's administration insists Europe should play a more active role in the issue of providing security guarantees to Ukraine.
I just got off the phone with my counterparts from the UK, France, and Germany and said, look, we welcome Europe stepping in and offering security guarantees. We've been asking for years for Europe to step up and contribute more to not only their own defense, but Ukraine's defense. Michael Waltz, United States National Security Advisor, in an interview with Fox News.
The president of France will also travel to the United States in the coming days, said Minister Delegate for European Affairs Benjamin Haddad.
He will come to speak for the Europeans and say that the future of Ukraine cannot be decided without them. Benjamin Haddad, Minister Delegate for European Affairs from Le Figaro publication.
France and its allies are firmly committed to ensuring strong and lasting peace in Ukraine, Emmanuel Macron said following the meeting of European leaders in Paris.
We stand with Ukraine and will take full responsibility to ensure peace and security in Europe. This is the fundamental interest of France, and I am its guarantor. Emmanuel Macron, President of France, on X social network.
According to the Washington Post, Kyiv's partners are ready to provide several brigades for potential deployment in Ukraine. At the same time, it is not expected that the peacekeepers will be on the contact line. They must be prepared to show force if Russian troops try to resume the war against Ukraine. The mission plans to involve aviation, drones, satellites, as well as maritime patrol ships in the Black Sea. All this should ensure the safety of commercial roads and contribute to the restoration of airspace for civil flights.
Under the Anglo-French plan, fewer than 30,000 European-led troops will be deployed to Ukrainian cities, ports, and other critical infrastructure sites, such as nuclear power stations, far away from the current front lines. Rather than stationing a much bigger force in the war-torn country, the mission will rely on technical monitoring, including intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft, drones, and satellites to provide a complete picture of what is going on. From the Telegraph publication,
the plans of Kyiv partners to station peacekeepers in Ukraine are categorically rejected in Russia. Putin's spokesman Peskov called them unacceptable. According to him, the participation of military personnel from NATO countries in the mission poses a threat to the security of the Russian Federation. The Kremlin is following the statements of the Prime Minister of the United States, Peskov added. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.